On today's show, the three hottest topics around the LA Clippers fan base right now. Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA and in my 20th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more Clipper content. And Locked On Clippers, free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Make sure you let me know what you think of Norman Powell and if he has all-star considerations. We're going to be talking about that. If we can be the best defense in the league by season's end, I'm going to be talking about that and the KPJ conversation that everybody's having around the fan base whenever I ask anyone. Comment on that. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, have all that stuff figured out. And also, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Your boy writes it. Introducing the Locked On Clippers Daily Newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at lockedondaily.com. It's really easy, guys. I really appreciate it. That's lockedondaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Clippers newsletter. All right. This episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy sports entry app in the game. So many people I know use Prize Picks. All you got to do is download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All right, let's get to it. The Clippers, 4-4 as we stand on November 8th, 2024. We got the Sacramento Kings tonight over at Golden One Center, the first of a back-to-back of the Toronto Raptors tomorrow night, right here in LA at Intuit Dome. So I'm definitely taking a split. But if we can go, let's get greedy. Let's get greedy. Let's go out there and get that win in Sacramento, because you know what? We're playing some good ball right now. The only Sacramento Kings games I've watched were the one against the Lakers where they lost. LeBron went off in the end of that game. And then they played against the Wolves, and Julius Randle went off in that game, and the Kings lost both. And they were fairly close. And De'Aaron Fox, he's been a very good closer the last couple of years. So I'm trying to think, if the game is close, do I trust the Clippers, considering we've been so shaky in close games so far this season? But on the road, technically still haven't lost yet on the road. So that's something to consider. Now, on the homestand, the Clippers went 2-3. Got the wins. The first three were L's against the Blazers, Suns, and Thunder. And then we got the W against San Antonio and the Philadelphia 76ers. I'd say the best win of the season for me still has to be those road wins. The one against Denver on the road. I think that was really great. How about Golden State? I look completely wrong about them. They've literally only lost to the Clippers. That was the only loss they've had this season. They're 7-1. This is, life after Klay Thompson for them. So very interesting. But it's too early to standings watch. All I'm trying to say is the best win of the season, I would have to say, is I'm going to go with Denver, but the Warriors one may age to be the best. I'm going to go with Denver because it's been so hard for us to get wins there, and especially Jokic is just a level of respect that I have for him as a fan. Anyway, this Sacramento game, look, regardless, blowout, close game, let's just get the W. I think it's not going to be a blowout, I don't think it'll be a double-digit win for the Clips, but I think it could be one of those games kind of similar to the Warriors and the Nuggets where it's not too close, like last couple possessions close. I'm saying maybe we pull away with like 2 minutes left. Norman Powell makes some threes to just kind of, stick the dagger in the heart of the Sacramento Kings fans. No beam lighting. That would be ideal. And so let's talk about Norman Powell. Mr. Addition by Subtraction. That has been said by so many Clipper fans the last couple of days. And I have to say, there's not one Clipper fan that I've seen. You know what? I'm going to say this. For all the people that said to me over the years, Norman Powell is better than Paul George, and I dismissed you and said, come on, you're being ridiculous. I still stand by what I said, but you may have been onto something. You may have been onto something. In the sense that I understand your point of how aggressive, like his mindset. He's a much hungrier scorer. He's always looking to be aggressive. He's always looking to let it fly, right? But I did not think that if you increased his role that much, that he'd be able to be this efficient still. Now, maybe, and most likely, he's going to cool down a bit. This is ridiculous, right? I mean, but maybe, he's going to average, let's say Kawhi doesn't play a game. Actually, you know what? If Kawhi does play, let's say he just comes back, I still think he's averaging 20 plus. If Kawhi doesn't come back, he could average 23 plus. Maybe even more. Well, I mean, 23 plus means more, so yeah. It's looking crazy. I can't lie. And here's the thing about Norm. I love Norman Powell. Like, I've been a fan of him since UCLA, as I've said over and over again on this show. But he's like, proving me wrong completely. Like, I did not think that he could do this. I'm sorry, Norm. Like, I really am. The creation stuff. I've been very critical of the fact that he really, I've said he can't create his own shot and all that. I know he has a solid handle, but I don't see him get to it and create much separation and have much wiggle. But there's been times this season where I'm like, oh, hold on a second. Some nice crossovers to reject screens. I mean, he's fast with the ball. And he's hitting his contested jumpers. That's the one thing, though. How can he just continue to hit these contested jumpers throughout the season? And I don't mean off the catch threes. I mean like off the dribble. But he continues to prove me wrong. He continues to show. And then the passing criticism I've had. I'm like, Norm's not a very good passer. He only does that scoop pass up, around the basket when he doesn't have the layup. He thinks he's going to get blocked. But he's had some nice lob passes the last couple of games. Just passes on a live dribble. Just showing more of the handle. That was the thing I was most critical of. He doesn't really go left. His handle, he doesn't really show much wiggle to it. You know what I'm saying? Not too agile in that sense. But, man, he's a bulky guard, Norman Powell. But and his defense has been so much better too. Like, I really don't know what to say. He's been our best player so far this season. I'm very happy for him. 25 points a game he's averaging right now. And his splits are just ridiculous. Take a listen here. 53% from the field. That obviously would be a career high. And considering the shots he's taking, that's absurd. 48.5% from three on 8.5 attempts. That's insanity. And not all of them are just wide open. And then 86% from the line. Now, yeah, the rebounding, that's something that could get better. He could do a better job boxing out. Because he's a big guard. He's strong. I don't know why he doesn't put a little bit more, I don't know about effort or attention to detail, whatever you want to call it, into that. 2 rebounds per game for him, 2.4, if you want to be exact. Also, the same amount of assists, exactly, 2.4. I think that's going to continue to increase as teams start looking like, wait, maybe Norman Powell's the guy we got to stop before James Harden. Imagine James Harden. Now he's going back to getting the second best defender. Now James can start seeing an uptick in his efficiency. It's pick your poison. Because Norman Powell's just been that good. Norman Powell's been that good that I'm throwing it in the air just because other fans started doing it. I'm going to give the fans credit in my video. Golden State, Bay Area, All-Star, Norman Powell. Are we going to start putting in the air? Because you know how All-Star appearances work. That first 2 months of the season is very big because you don't get that second half of the season to vote. That last month or so, that last 3 weeks, the voting is pretty much already done. They start announcing that thing. So, it's very crucial in the beginning of the season to get off to a solid start. And the fact that the Clippers are 500, I mean, we got more to go. And yeah, as I said, the first 10 games, Kawhi won't be playing. So that you chop off 10 games right there. If we're around, let's say we're 5-5, that's exactly what we need to do. The question is how much longer? How much longer? Are we going to get an update? That is what I'm concerned about in terms of us actually making the play-in and playoffs and whatnot. But the Norman Powell show, 25 points a game. He's averaging 2 turnovers, but 1.9. If he's averaging under 2 with how much he has the ball, even though the one thing I love about Norman is he's so quick with the ball in his hands. He makes quick decisions. You know what I mean? It's either get rid of it or get to it. And a lot of times with Norm, it's get to it. And that curl getting to his right, I mean, we have spammed it, and I think teams are going to most likely should start top blocking it. What I mean by that is guarding him with literally because you're always taught you got to be between your man and the basket. But you know how teams guard Steph Curry is they'll literally deny him the ball and force him to like back cut and go the other way. That's what I think they'll start doing with Norm potentially, which will open up the back cut. It just depends on if he's going to back cut. But coming off that screen, and Zoo, you got to give Zoo a lot of credit in this conversation. His screen setting is very underrated. He makes contact a lot. Like, as a lot of guys, including Kai Jones, to be honest, that I've noticed, they don't really make contact on a lot of their screens. And I'm not talking about ghost screens and stuff that's intended to not have contact. I'm talking about regular screens. You want to make contact. So then the guy can get a little separation from his defender. And Zubac does a great job. Does a very good job. And I also credit the coaching staff. I think they've done a really good job of spamming that and letting Norm just get off. It's been amazing, so... Norman Powell of the Bay Area. Let's start talking about it. Coming up, we all said we're going to make our mark on our defense. What has been the standout factor so far? We'll talk about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy sports app around. It really is. I used it time and time again with basketball, although I'm not the best at guessing with these kind of things, or predicting, I should say. But you might be better than me. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup alive. And see, like, that doesn't happen in fantasy sports, other fantasy sports. It's killed me in fantasy football a lot. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bet. And right now with the NFL, this weekend is a big weekend. We're starting to get to the nitty-gritty. We're talking Chargers against the Titans at SoFi Stadium. Place your bets on that one and more on FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Clipper Nation, 4-4 so far on the season, 500 without Kawhi. I'd say that's not too bad. Norman Powell, 25 points per game. Start getting ready to place your votes for Norm to be an all-star. But let's talk about a team aspect here. Defense. We all talked about it as fans before the season began. Defense is going to be how we make our mark. Now, why is that? Well, let's look at the thing that matters most. The players, right? We got guys that want to guard, that can guard. Let's go top to bottom. Zubac. It's becoming regular to see Ivica Zubac protect the rim, chain shots there, and just block shots. Even though so far this season, he hasn't been too high in the block count, just 0.6 blocks per game. But if you're watching the games, you're seeing how much he's deterring shots, how many shots that he changes. And that's not new. That's always been Zoo. And it's even more true then it's never been more true than right now. I'll give him this. In the beginning of the 2022-23 season, that was his best rim protecting stretch I've ever seen. But I think right now, just overall as a player, he's brought it together the most. But he's still playing very solid defense. He's a rim protector. He's very solid in drop coverage. And everyone always used to criticize him everywhere. Some Clipper fans, some stands, don't matter. They were all saying, he's so one-dimensional. He just can't move his feet. He can only be in drop. And other than that, he can't switch out on the perimeter. And I kept trying to tell people, not a lot of bigs are switching 1 through 5. You know what I'm saying? It's very few. Zubac is fantastic at what he does. He's very strong. And I said when we start utilizing what he can do better than other big men, which is finish around the basket and post up, then you'll see he's better than some of these guys. And I think he's showing that. I think he's absolutely showing that because even in games that he's missing a bunch of shots around the rim, he's still getting double-doubles and still playing good defense and helping us win the game. Without Zoo, we'd be cooked. So cooked. I don't even know. I think, as crazy as this sounds, I think James Harden is probably the most valuable player of this team. Because if you took him out, I just don't think we'd be able to score, and Norman Powell would not be able to do what he does the same way because of the attention. But again, we've said that about him without Kawhi and Paul George. But still, I think Norman could still average his 25, but it's just who else is going to score? You know what I'm saying? James Harden probably is the most valuable player, but Zubac is the best argument against that and being the second because we don't have a replacement for him that Ty clearly trusts. Because until Mo Bamba comes back, we'll see. Because Kai Jones, I think Kai Jones honestly should get more minutes. I think he looks sometimes like a fish out of water, but at the same time, it's like he's not getting that many minutes. So he also does great things when he's out there at times. Offensive rebounds, block shots, lobs, catches lobs and all that. So I think he should be getting more burn to spare Zoo. But you know what it is? And we know this as Clipper fans at this point with Ty. He likes that small ball stuff. I think that's part of the reason we went out and got a lot of these kind of switchable defenders is because he wants to be able to go small. It's bigger than just defense first. So Zubac, rim protection-wise, we know we're getting there. James Harden, I think he's been good enough defensively. If you want to argue that with me, you can. But he's been good enough to me. He's had some good moments with his hands active, which we know we're going to get with him. He's got great hands. I said he had great hands before he even showed up here because I've watched James Harden. I've never missed a playoff game of his. I don't think. Definitely not I don't think I've ever missed a playoff game. Him or Russ. Let's think. Overall, I'd say solid there. Norman Powell, as I've talked about, he's been better than we expected defensively. Because look, Harden and Norm, I kept saying, were the only two weak links in our rotation defensively when Kawhi's back and assuming that KPJ wasn't in the rotation. And by the way, my take there is aging well. To all you people KPJ guys are saying he's hating on KPJ and all this. Dude, is KPJ better than Kris Dunn? You really want to go there? Come on. I'm not even trying to be like that. But that was defense matters, and Kris Dunn was in an NBA rotation last year. Kevin Porter was, again, on the most dysfunctional team ever in the history of the game. I would argue strongly. And yeah, I'm not saying that KPJ can't pick it up, though, but I don't think he's ever going to be better for this team than Kris Dunn. Point being that Norman Powell and James Harden were the only two defenders that I was suspect on. And then obviously the backup center situation, I haven't seen Mo Bamba defend like that. Harden has been what we've expected him to be when he's solid. So more like the beginning of when he first got traded to us last season. I think during the winning streak, he was even better than this defensively, though. The 26-5. Norm, he's never been this good defensively for the Clippers. He's taking it personal. And then there's the obvious. Terrence Mann. Let's talk about Terrence for a sec defensively. I think he's been okay. I think he's gotten in some foul trouble in some of the first couple of games. I don't think he's really gotten cooked. I think he's had moments. Against Maxey, he did a really good job. He's still a net positive on that end of the floor for me. But he's just got to be more disciplined, not getting into foul trouble. That's all. Let's see who leads their team in fouls. It's Derrick Jones Jr., actually, but Terrence Mann's only 0.1 below him. Derrick Jones averages 3 fouls a game. Terrence and Kris Dunn with 2.9. But what I'll say there is, we'll shift it right over to Derrick Jones. I think he's been good defensively. I think He started out better the first couple of games. He just wasn't getting beat as much, it felt like, and it just seemed like I had more moments where I was like, good D, Derek. You know what I'm saying? During a game. He's gotten lost off the ball a couple of times the last couple of games. Beaten off the dribble a little easier than I expected him to be. But overall, very solid. He's been such a positive for this team. I think he's going to just continue to be better on both ends of the floor. I think if he averages 10 points, let's see how many points he averaged last year. Because right now he's averaging 10.6 points per game, which you'll take all day. Yeah, last year 8.6. So if he averages 2 more points than last year, we will absolutely take that. He's shooting 38% from 3 currently. If he can stay at that number all season, we're going to be golden. Because last season he averaged a career high 34%. So now he's becoming a good 3-point shooter, 38%. Man, I've been very happy with Derrick Jones Jr. He's also added an athleticism layer, but just having him guard other guys has made us better defensively. His rotation speed, very great. Then there's the bench. And the guy leading that charge is Kris Dunn. Kris Dunn has been everything and more that he was advertised defensively. He's been special on that end of the floor. Super active hands, gets chest to chest. He really guards. He sits down. And he's so much more athletic than I thought. And that just adds a layer of transition game that we didn't have before, because we just didn't have the athletes, to get those steals and to push quickly off those steals and rebounds. Kris Dunn likes to get up and down. I think he's been great. I think Amir Coffey also been solid. You know what you're getting from him, which is consistency. Actually, never mind. He's not that consistent. I was just criticizing him for being inconsistent, so no, I take that back. But defensively, I think for the most part he's pretty good. You know what you're getting from him on that end. I think offensively he can be more inconsistent. But defensively, he, for the most part, is just solid, big body, gets out there and guards. And then Nico Batum, he's been obviously always going to be a net positive defensively. Always has active hands. And his size, switchable size. He can guard so many different kinds of guys. He's so savvy defensively, knows guys' tendencies. So just the defensive personnel, and then, of course, Jeff Van Gundy. How could I forget? A defensive-first mindset. You see how active he is when we're on that end of the floor. He's always on his feet. And just to conclude, right now the Clippers are 5th in defensive rating. The teams above are the Thunder, Warriors, Mavericks, and Rockets. Man, can the Mavericks stay at that level? I'm curious to see. But, yeah, well, top 5, we'll take that. That was the goal, right? So coming up, going to be talking about the KPJ conversation. It's been the hottest topic when I talk to fans at games. I got to tell you a little something about Skims. Underwear is a very important part of your daily outfit. Maybe the most important, because you want to feel comfortable. And some people like different fits. And when I found out Skims was making underwear for men, I have to admit, I was surprised and excited. A lot of girls I knew had been buying them for a while now, and they're always talking about how great they are, and finally they came out with some men's stuff. As you know, I like to exercise a lot, but I've never liked wearing that synthetic feeling workout underwear, especially when I'm done at the gym or playing basketball, whatever it may be. When I tried Skims Stretch Boxer Briefs, it felt like I finally found the missing link. They give me all the movement I need for working out without feeling like I'm walking around wearing gym clothes the rest of the day. Plus, they never lose their shape. And maybe it's in my head, but I swear, since I started wearing these, everything has gotten more comfortable. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com. Let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. And if you're looking for the perfect gifts for the whole family, Skims just launched their biggest holiday shop ever. Also available at skims.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Norman Powell sent him to the All-Star game. Our defense is top 5 like we all wanted, and I think it could be even better. I truly do. Less Terrence in foul trouble, more consistency in terms of. I was going to say more consistency for Derrick Jones Jr. because I feel like he's had some games where he's been much better defensively than others. But that's probably harsh. I think Derrick Jones just has to keep doing what he's doing. And, yeah, not much more to say with him. Kris Dunn's going to be continues to be fantastic. And Nico. I think we're going to give Nico some more minutes as the season goes on. And he's going to continue to impact the game defensively because the amount of steals we seem to get with him and his ball denial and just always have. Nico always has his hands up. Always. Never has his hands down, which is great. Unless he's, Yeah. So, the final conversation, the KPJ conversation. Everyone's been talking about how, we got to take him out of the rotation. I haven't talked to many fans who are against that are Clipper fans. Because as I say, the player fans just don't know. Their heads are not in the same place. They want the individual agenda. Most people keep saying, let's give Jordan Miller a shot. Let's give Jordan Miller a shot. Well, first, let's look at what KPJ is doing statistically. He's averaging 16 minutes a game, which is not that much. He's averaging 6.5 points, which is less than Amir, less than Kris Dunn. He's averaging 4 rebounds a game, 3.9. So that's pretty good. That's more than Amir Coffey. That's more than Norman Powell. That's more than Nico. That's more than Terrence. That's more than Derrick Jones. Right? And averaging 2.9 assists per game, which again is more than Norman Powell, more than Amir Coffey, more than Nico, more than everyone except for James Harden. So, and he's averaging 0.8 steals a game, so on average 1. My point being that he's not playing as bad statistically as what you're seeing. But let me give my opinion. I don't think he's been very good. He's had some better games of late, but I don't see the way he plays unless he becomes much more efficient shooting the ball. Because he definitely can get shots off, and that's a skill for sure. But he's not getting a lot of separation from his defenders, so the shots are very difficult. And he's dribbling a lot and holding the ball a lot. The fact that nobody on our team has assists except for James Harden, that's just how a lot of teams with that kind of playmaker go. Like, it's just that one guy's expected to create so much and the ball's not moving. And I don't think Kevin Porter Jr. helps that problem. I think he's like a much worse version of a guy that wants to be like James Harden. Pick and roll. He doesn't make the right reads in pick and roll, so like possessions just end up getting dragged out and we ended up getting a bad shot. Would I give Bones Hyland or Jordan Miller a chance right now? Now, here's the conversation. Who is it, Jordan Miller or is it Bones Hyland? We all want to see Jordan Miller because the prospect of a young homegrown player excites all of us, including me, so much. And just besides the homegrown thing, he's been good whenever he's gone in games, serious minutes in games, whether it be preseason, summer league, all that within, since the summer. Because he didn't look like the same player last year. Now, as far as this season, Jordan Miller's gotten some garbage time minutes. He's only played 2 games, 4 minutes in those games. So, yeah, it's not even worth reading off his numbers. But my thing is this. Jordan Miller was very, very good in the preseason, in summer league. But he's also on a 2-way contract, which means he can play 50 games. Can he create shots for himself at the NBA level? I am still not sure of that. But I know what you'll say. You're never going to find out if you don't try. Absolutely. But I think the safer bet, if we're just talking about shot creation, which is what we lack without James Harden on the court especially, I think Bones Hyland's the guy to try. But here's the thing. Bones has a lot of the same flaws. Takes some bad shots, dribbles a lot and goes nowhere. But I think he has more speed with the ball. And with these athletes, I think that can encourage a fast pace, especially with guys like Kris Dunn. And, Nico's going to try to get... Nico may not run the floor all the time, but he's going to try to be there when it comes to creating steals and outletting the ball. And the likes of Kai Jones as well. And Amir Coffey. Amir Coffey loves to get out on the break. So just more speed in the lineup. If he could just dribble up the court and get one pass going, and we start moving the ball, that could be better. But we seem to usually have stagnant offenses, because we have guys like CP3, Harden, and then Paul George and Kawhi, they want the ball. A lot of offenses, though, in the NBA are stagnant. The Kings, though, are not. They run a lot of dribble handoff stuff with Domantas Sabonis, top of the key, a lot of cutting, back doors. It's a good offense. It's tough to guard. But, hey, whatever works, right? So my opinion overall, I would give it till game 15. We're at game 9 and 10 this weekend. Look, I would give it till game 15, unless these next two games are just terrible. Because KPJ's had some good moments too. And it's not a guarantee that Bones Hyland does better, quite frankly. Even though I'm rooting for Bones. I would love it for it to be Bones. And can Bones get in the paint more? Because KPJ doesn't get in the paint enough for me. Because Bones can get in the paint, but he's not strong enough to finish. He can't body guys. And I haven't seen enough out of his left hand. He does a lot of that scoop right hand on that left side. But we'll see. Anyway, Clippers Kings Friday night. We'll have an episode out for Saturday morning, no doubt about it. Norman Powell, start getting your ballots ready. And let's go to that number one defensive spot. Why not? The age-old pro. Oh, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dime Dropper Pod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, to check out all the videos I've been making at the games. I will be live after the game on Friday night for the Raw Reaction. And Locked On Clippers, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you know every single time we post a video. And of course, don't forget that your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Clippers Daily Newsletter. One stop for Ultimate Team and League coverage delivered right to your inbox. Please sign up for free now. It's free. LockedOnDaily.com. That's where you got to go. LockedOnDaily.com and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Clippers newsletter. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.